I guess sleep for tactical adventures is not really a thing after launching in early access, because within 24 hours of launching their game into early access, they have released a notice responding to some of the criticism and critiques of some of the things that they want to change, notably some stuff around the character creator, as well as released a roadmap for the rest of this year. And that's some of the stuff I wanted to talk about because they're addressing one of the things that I critiqued in my first look of the game, and I'm glad that they're actually addressing it because I thought it was kind of an issue. Not a huge issue, but at least a little bit of an issue. I feel like the character creator in Solasta 2 is a tremendous upgrade from the first game and one that has a ton of potential, but I also found it had some pretty severe limitations. The biggest of them for me was the fact that you could not do a damn thing to change the size of your body, like at all. No skinny dwarves or thick elves. I also found the selection of hairstyles and scars and things like that to be overall kind of lacking. And it sounds like I wasn't alone because within 24 hours, they already had a post up on their Steam page announcing near and long-term changes to that character creators. In short, they're going to be working to fix this. Because basically, if Raceland and Caramon Majir look exactly the same, it's kind of going to be a problem. And if you get that reference, I love you, and let's talk about it in the comment section and nerd the fuck out together. And also, if I pronounce those names wrong, I read them as a kid, so that was how it was in my head. So be gentle. Additionally, they said that they didn't have enough haircuts or really options in general, so they're looking to add more, as well as working to simplify the face morphing, as some of the comments they've received is that it's overly complicated. And honestly, I have to agree, it has a lot of customization to it, but it reminds me a bit of Nightingale, where they had this idea of kind of giving you basically your parents and your grandparents and trying to make your face from their faces. And really it just basically boils down to the idea that there's doing something different with a character creator may sound cool, but sometimes the tried and true face mapping tools are probably the things that work best. Making it as simple and easy to manipulate as possible, even just giving people sliders. Lastly, they mentioned that they just didn't have enough presets, and honestly that probably compounded that morphing issue, because if you're trying to sculpt and you don't have a good basis to start with, you're more likely to be screwed. So good on them for listening on all fronts here and being receptive to feedback. They didn't give exact timeframes on when these fixes would be in, but rather said that they'll be coming in over time, with some possibly coming in weeks, while others likely taking longer. Some of these do sound like bigger lifts to change than others, but I'm glad they're willing to put them in as they come about instead of holding all things up for one big update. Additionally, they released a beta branch that you can load up into, which should help with any crashes or bugs earlier. Now, I personally hadn't had any crash issues during my playthrough. I did have a bug with some dead NPCs coming back and just kind of standing there. They didn't really impact the gameplay, they just kind of were a visual bug. They were just like ghosts. But if you're having issues, or if new ones pop up, which I'm sure new ones will pop up, you might want to try the new beta build to see if that fixes it. It's probably what I'll do on my next run. Looking forward though, Tactical Adventures went ahead and dropped their roadmap for 2026. It's lean on details, but it's a hell of a lot faster than I expected them to provide. In Q3, which is generally July to the end of September, we should be getting multiplayer, a new class, more customization, and new world events. I can't wait to jump into multiplayer, because one of the most fun things I've done in games like this is engage with multiplayer. With like when I played Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode with friends, it just is an entirely different experience. So I can't wait for that, even in early access. We don't know what the new class will be. We don't know what the customization will be. I'm assuming just more customization like what they're talking with the character creator, and well, the new world events. So again, it's generalized stuff, but at least we're getting ideas of what's coming in those months. There's also an assumed idea here of what's coming because of what happens in the next update, that through this quarter, we will be getting the rest of the acts, the rest of Act 1, because, well, Q4. Q4 2026, which is, well, I mean, it's the rest of the months by process of elimination, we'll be getting 2 new ancestries, another new class, a level raise to level 6, and the start of Act 2, as well as the crafting system. So basically by the end of the year, we should have up to level 6, we should have the start of Act 2, we should have a crafting system, we should have 2 new classes, 2 new ancestries, more customization, we should have multiplayer, and new world events. Looking forward to 2027, there's more ancestries, more classes, a faction system, and extra content. Now, a comment on my last video actually asked me to speculate on when Solasta 2 might exit EA, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure of the scope of the game, and I know on their Steam page they say that they want to be in EA for about a year. But just looking at their roadmap, I'm leaning toward 2, which would be more in line with what I'd expect for an EA period, especially an early access period if they're going to be using it for actual feedback and not just use it for a pre-release funding sort of thing. So I personally wouldn't be betting on the 1 year early access that they have on the Steam page and thinking more in terms of a year and a half to 2 years. But I'll still be excited to see their first big update and hope for some new hairstyles, maybe some body presets, and hopefully that multiplayer coming in sooner rather than later. Let me know in the comment section below whether you are playing Solasta 2 or if you're waiting on the sidelines. I know this month has a ton of RPGs launching, so it may not be the month to jump in, but I'm just curious to see what you're playing. My name is Red Flynn. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time spending here a little bit of time with me today. So thank you so much, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you all again soon.